I'm not here to teach you what to think. I'm here to teach you how to think. All right, here's rule number 10 for a first date. You stay away from competition. When I say competition, I'm not talking about other people competing for her attention. I'm talking about you and her not getting into any sort of stupid competitions. So if you're competitive by nature and then you're taking her out for a date to, let's say, mini golf, if you get so wrapped up with, okay, well, I have to win, and then she says, well, yeah, well, I have to win, it becomes a competition, and that's not good. Remember, part of that date is you're trying to form the identity that it's you and her against the world. Now, it's okay if the two of you want to compete against another couple. Okay, in the sense that if you're only going to do it for a half hour and, your date is supposed to be 3 or 4 hours long, sure, it's fine, gives a bit of emotional range. It shows how the two of you are going to work as a team. But if your entire date is just one big competition, then you're establishing that your whole relationship is going to be this one big competition, and that is not a basis for a long-term relationship. I'll give you an example. Let's say it's an adult male virgin who decides that he's going to make jokes about sex. One of the things I tell adult male virgins not to do. And you make a joke about sex, and then she says, oh yeah, well, I want to see exactly how much this guy knows. And then she makes a joke about sex, and then you make another joke about sex, and then she makes another joke about sex, and it's back and forth and back and forth. Even if you win, you still lose because you have set the precedence that that's the way your relationship dynamic is going to happen, where you're always going to be going for that drama. You're always going to be going for that competition. We have a question.
What about in women who respond to that sort of thing, where that gets them the emotional range that they need to feel like it's actually going somewhere? And how do you identify if this is the type of woman who needs that sort of competitive drama to feel attraction for the man?
Okay, if she's the type of woman that she's getting a little bit of drama and she needs that type of drama, it's fine if it's within a limited context. For example, since you've already structured your date to be at 3 places in one evening, if it happens for a few minutes at one of the locations, that's okay. It can make the date a little bit fun and a little bit interesting. However, if you see that she's constantly looking to pick a fight, if you see that she's constantly trying to be agitating, if you see that she's constantly trying to say, oh, while we're in that other place, let's do this, and it's another competitive thing, that's where you're looking at a repeating behavior pattern. That's how you spot it. Now, there's going to be times when the two of you, let's say, are in a relationship and you'll be play fighting with one another, and you both know you're play fighting. You're saying it's with smiles on, and it's fun. But as long as it has a time limit on it, you do it for a few minutes. If you're doing it as an ongoing behavior pattern, that's when you say, okay, we're now at the second location, and she is still doing this stuff. At that point, you have to make a choice as to whether or not you really want to invest the time in someone like that. And if you are willing to put in the time, great. Just know that there's consequences to it. And if you are going to put in the time, categorize her. What would you get from a woman like that? Are you looking for a one-night stand? Are you looking for a fuck buddy? Are you looking for a non-exclusive girlfriend? Are you looking for a wife at the end of this? Do you want your wife to behave like that? That's why you have your categories, so that if you run into a girl who, let's say, is like this, and you don't have the energy or the time to waste with a girl like that, you'll know that, okay, well, the most I can have with this girl is a one-night stand. So I'll have some fun, I'll tolerate it for tonight, I'll get laid, and I'll let her know, look, thanks, everything was really great, but I'm really not looking for anything more than that. And you let her know that before sex, usually. Number 5 of my harem was like that. She was a girl that loved a good fight, that loved a good argument. Some of the other girls that I dated in my past were also like that. They needed the drama. In order to feel a sense of closeness with me, they had to feel that we've just made up from a fight. So they would instigate a fight. So we would go through the process of having a fight, making up, and then feeling closer. And I got off on the drama because it intensifies the sex. And at this point in my life, I don't have the friggin' energy to deal with someone like that. If I had met my number 5 now, I don't think I'd even waste my time with a one-night stand with her. Just because my criteria, my lifestyle right now has changed. Back then, it was more of an experiment to see just how far I could take it and could I manage it. And yes, I did. And it was a real pain in the ass. A great learning experience if you don't have very much experience with relationships and that. But at some point, you're going to have to say, is it worth the time? Am I honestly going to learn more now than I already learned? When you're on a first date, if you find that you're competing with her, maybe you're still trying to impress her, and we've already talked about that. Maybe she's trying to impress you, or maybe for every one thing you say, she says, oh yeah, well, I have to be equal to the man, and she wants to say something, you want to say something, she wants to say something. This type of dynamic, although it might be good for fueling an emotionally damaged person, because there are some men who are emotionally damaged and they get off on this stuff too, it doesn't make for a long-lasting relationship. And if you can at least figure out on the first date that you have no long-term relationship prospects with the person, you're still in a better position that way to decide what role she is going to play in your life, or if you'd rather not have her in your life at all. Okay, here's the next rule of how to act on a first date. The willingness to walk away. Now, we had talked about this a little bit earlier in this lecture,